Believe You Can, President Barack Obama. Written by Wyvanya H. Narrated by J. Mayo. Barack Obama swung at the fast-coming ball. From the very start, he believed in giving all. He also believed in riding his shiny bike, which is what little boys at this young age still like. In his earlier days, he lived in Hawaii. He liked to kick back at a beach in Waikiki. In front of a sailboat, he is seen here posing on his way to a fun afternoon of swimming. He loved hanging out with his grandpa in the sun. The two of them were always having lots of fun. He enjoyed beach water starting as a young boy, as he is seen playing here with his red beach toy. His beloved mom was born in a Kansas City. She adored her son, and she was also pretty. Barack's father was from the country of Kenya, which is located in the east part of Africa. A Hawaii college is where his parents were when an introduction between the two occurred. With his mom and stepdad, he moved to another country and was blessed with Maya, his new sister. At the school he went to, friends said he studied hard, which meant he got good grades on his school report card. They also remember him saying when he went to school in Indonesia, he'd like to be president. Indonesian was the language everyone learned. It caused his mother to become a bit concerned. She started waking him at 5 each day morning for a home course to keep up his English speaking. Some years later, he moved back to Hawaii State, where he received his education top rate. At Punahou School, which is where Barack was sent, greatness was highly expected of each student. He liked and played basketball with his high school team. He may have been having a basketball dream. He loved the game so much, for hours he would stay on the basketball court with his teammates to play. His mother taught him that he could grow up to be anything he studied with a college degree. She taught him to be kind, understanding, and fair. She also taught him to be a young man who cared. On graduation day, Barack proudly received his high school diploma, which is great to achieve. After the ceremony, with all of Grandma's might, she ran up and hugged her loving grandson real tight. He received a hug from his sister Maya too, for graduating, which all school children should do. After graduation, Barack moved far away to start his education in the city of LA. He studied 2 years at Occidental College, then went to Columbia to receive more knowledge. He graduated from Columbia University, which is where he got his political degree. His grandparents came to see him at his school home. They were so proud of him for how far he had come. He worked 2 years before he moved to Chicago, which is a city where the cold winds often blow. He got a job there to help set up job training. He also helped set up college prep tutoring. Also with help from this hardworking young man, an organization for tenants' rights began. In 1988, he traveled far away to visit the country where his father once stayed. His other grandmother was so happy when he came to see her and the rest of their family. He enrolled in Harvard the late part of that year and was selected as law review editor. His second year, he was elected president. Reviews led to a book contract and advancement. It was the first time in the school's history an African man was voted to presidency. After he received his Harvard Law School degree, he went back and helped the Chicago community. As director, he helped the voting program thrive as he worked to push the vote registration drive. The company started to grow under his guide. The staff and the budget began an uphill slide. At a law firm he joined, he worked as a lawyer. He also had a job as a school professor. Mr. Obama worked hard at each position. He served as director on boards of foundations. When he met a lady by the name of Michelle, he liked her a lot and thought she was pretty swell. One day he asked Michelle if she would be his wife. She said yes, and they are now married for dear life. In the state of Illinois, he won a Senate seat. 2 years later, he won again by great defeat. He then went on to win in 2004 a U.S. Senate seat, which helped prepare him more. At the Democratic National Convention, he gave an outstanding speech in the state of Boston. People started to wonder if he was going to be the 44th president of our country. He and his wife have 2 daughters they're most proud of. They shower their children with huge amounts of love. Though quite a busy man, Barack spends quality time with his precious and supportive family. In 2006, he went back to Africa to see his dad's birthplace and his grandma Sarah. Citizens of Kenya were full of joy and pride as they walked close to Senator Obama's side. A dream he once had that he could be president was still on his mind, so off to campaign he went. With his wife by his side, it was good timing for Barack to push forward his dream because Michelle had his back. Michelle made him promise to stop smoking when he ran for the president, in which he did agree. He also promised his daughters that he would give them a puppy which would come with them to live. Mr. Obama is a very positive man who set fire to the nation with "Yes, we can." His campaign fight was hard and it seemed very long. He had a few problems, but he kept growing strong. On trail, he got support from Oprah, his good friend, who believed and stood by him right until the end. His endorsement from Senator Kennedy declared him gifted and extraordinary. He chose Senator Biden as his running mate. The two working together was bound to be great. At the Democratic National Convention, he accepted the presidential nomination. He asked us to believe in his ability to bring about real change in Washington, D.C. The audacity of hope were some words to his campaign. To all Americans, he promised to bring change. He was fast becoming a well-liked candidate. Never had anyone seen anything quite like it. Crowds by the millions were coming out to see the young man who promised changes at his rally. His maternal grandma was not doing so good. He stopped and took a break, as any good grandson would. His wife stepped in while he went to go see about his beloved grandmother the time while he was out. On TV, there was a show sharing his history, given by some of his close friends and family. I began to believe that he was the best man and that quite possibly, like he said, yes, we can. He made quite a few stops on his campaign trail. Everywhere he went, the crowds always wished him well. The senator received a great response when he talked about main issues concerning the country. As his campaign started to come to an end, he continued touching the hearts of women and men. I don't know for certain, but I'm sure he was relieved that it was almost over and that he was well received. About 2 days before the big election day, his loving grandmother sadly passed away. He did not want to talk about it really, just said she had gone home and she went peacefully. He did add his grandma too was extraordinary because she worked hard and looked out for her family. He was grateful that his sister was by her side at the very moment when his grandmother died. On November the 4th, off to the polls he went with his loving wife to vote himself president. After I voted, I looked at TV all day, hoping and praying that the wind would go his way. Up until the last minute, many people were out, supporting Obama, in whom they had no doubt. Across America, the whole country was tensed as we waited all day in nerve-wracking suspense. Everyone was anxious to see just who would be the next president as all eyes were on TV. When polls finally closed and all results were in, it was determined that Barack in fact did win. In U.S. history, Barack was the first man voted president as an African American. As the news started spreading of his landslide victory, people from everywhere were shouting joyously. Confetti fell while everyone screamed, "Obama!" It was a proud time to be in America. He was so full of thanks when he came out to say, "Change has come to America this day." He thanked his running mate, his wife, and his kids too. He thanked America for what we helped him do. He acknowledged his mom and grandparents who'd gone above. They are the ones who filled his life with so much love. A special hug for his best friend of 16 years, whom he deeply loves and cherishes very dear. President Obama and Vice President Biden look ready for new roles that they fought hard to win. All of his relatives from Kenya were so proud. Their screams and shouts of joy were very noisy and loud. Armed with a U.S. flag, one of them danced around, while some of the others were jumping up and down. People were really touched and cried genuine tears for this moment which some had waited for many years. I thought of a few heroes who'd help pave the way by sacrificing so much so that we could have this day. In streets around the world, the partying began to rejoice the win of the Democrats' top man. Yes, we can changed into yes, we did. The next day, changes were about to start coming our way. President Obama is a man who believes, with hope and hard work, that everyone can achieve. He had to resign from his post as senator for his new job that he had to start preparing for. Inauguration tickets was next on people's list. It was an event that no one wanted to miss. His grandma Sarah was planning the trip to come. She'd soon be here to see his presidential home. He moved to the White House in Washington, D.C., where every president lives with their family. On the morning of the great inauguration, people lined the streets in great anticipation. It was cold outside, but they waited anxiously for our new president to make history. As President Obama was sworn into office, there were many people miles around to witness. Our president smiled very generously as he stood next to his exquisite family. It was a great day in the history of the U.S. Millions of people felt the country had been blessed. After the president's inaugural speech was made, waiting nearby was an enormous parade. President Obama and his beautiful wife walked the Capitol streets ready for their new life. When the president and first lady danced that night, it was awesome to see such a beautiful sight. They looked so precious as their love filled up the air. It was so amazing to see the love they share. The president became footloose and fancy-free as he boogied all over the dancing floor with glee. He was the happiest man in the whole wide world as he danced hand in hand with his number one girl. There were celebrities who came just to sing for America's first couple who were two most adored. All evening long, they went to party events. Everyone was happy for our president. He was tired after all of the excitement, but he still went to work next day as president. President Obama learned from an early start that it pays to study to become very smart. As promised, the girls got their pup and named him Bo. Bo is a real beauty who can put on a show. Our president seems to be very happy with the energetic, adorable first puppy. The president is a very serious man who likes to have fun a few minutes when he can. His love for basketball goes back to high school days. 3 decades later, he can still show off some plays. The first family is starting to get used to important and fun things a first family do. They are both happy, fit, and beautiful, and trim. They wake early each day to work out in the gym. They like you to become a bright and shining star. Always believe you can, and you'll go very far. President Obama and First Lady Michelle wants you to study hard so you too can do well. Because he dared to dream, he has come a mighty long way by fulfilling his dream of becoming president one day. This has been Believe You Can, President Barack Obama, written by Wybanya H., narrated by J. Mayo. Copyright 2009 by Wybanya Houston. Production copyright 2015 by Wybanya Houston.